The Broken Bond. Welcome to Fallen Hearts Chronicles. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more romantic revenge stories. The Healer's Gift. Arya's hands glowed with a soft golden light as she pressed them against the wounded warrior's chest. The deep claw marks from the rogue attack began to close, flesh knitting together as pack members watched in awe. Healing was her gift, her purpose, the one thing that made her valuable to the Nightshade Pack despite being born an Omega. "Thank you, Arya," the warrior breathed, sitting up slowly. "You saved my life again." She smiled softly, exhaustion pulling at her bones. "Rest now, Derek. You'll be fully healed by morning." As she stood, wiping her bloodied hands on a cloth, Arya felt the familiar tug in her chest. The bond. It had appeared 3 months ago on her 21st birthday, connecting her to someone she'd known her entire life, Alpha Caden, her childhood friend, her secret love, and according to the moon goddess, her fated mate. But Caden didn't know. Arya had kept it secret, waiting for him to feel the bond too, waiting for the right moment to tell him. She dreamed of how his face would light up, how he'd pull her into his arms and tell her he'd been waiting for her all along. She was a fool. The gathering storm. The pack house buzzed with excitement that evening. Alpha Caden had called a special gathering, and rumors flew like sparks from a fire. Arya braided her long dark hair, her fingers trembling slightly. Maybe tonight would be the night. Maybe he'd felt the bond and wanted to announce their mating to the pack. Her small room in the healer's cottage was simple but clean. She pulled on her best dress, a deep blue that brought out her gray eyes, and headed toward the main hall. Other pack members streamed in the same direction, all chattering excitedly. "I heard the Alpha is making a big announcement," someone whispered. "About time he chose a mate," another replied. "The pack needs a Luna." Arya's heart hammered. She slipped into the back of the crowded hall, standing on her toes to see over the taller wolves in front of her. The stage at the front was decorated with flowers and candles. Alpha Caden stood there in his formal attire, looking every bit the powerful leader he was. At 25, he was in his prime, with dark hair, sharp green eyes, and a presence that commanded respect. But he wasn't alone. Elena stood beside him, her hand resting possessively on his arm. She was beautiful, a warrior with long red hair and amber eyes, strong and confident. Everything an Alpha's mate should be. Everything Arya was not. The bond in Arya's chest suddenly burned like acid. The rejection. "Thank you all for coming." Caden's deep voice carried through the hall. Silence fell immediately. "I've called you here tonight to share important news. After careful consideration, I have chosen my mate and your future Luna." Arya's hands clenched at her sides. The bond pulled painfully, as if trying to make him look at her, notice her, feel what she felt. "Elena of the Nightshade Pack has agreed to be my mate," Caden announced, pulling Elena close and kissing her forehead. The hall erupted in cheers and applause. Arya couldn't breathe. The bond screamed in agony, rejecting what her eyes were seeing. This couldn't be happening. He was her mate. The moon goddess had chosen them for each other. How could he pick someone else? "But Alpha," a voice called out. It was Marcus, Caden's beta, looking uncomfortable. "What about the mate bond? Have you felt?" "I have felt no mate bond," Caden interrupted firmly. "I'm 25. If the goddess intended a fated mate for me, I would have felt it by now. I choose Elena because she's strong, capable, and exactly what this pack needs. We will be mated under the full moon in 3 days." The cheers resumed, but Arya's world had shattered. She needed to leave, to get out before she started crying in front of everyone. She turned to slip away, but her movement caught Caden's eye. "Arya!" His voice stopped her. "Come forward." Every head turned to look at her. Arya's face burned as she slowly made her way through the crowd. She kept her eyes down, afraid of what she might see in his face, afraid of what he might see in hers. "Yes, Alpha?" she whispered when she reached the stage. "You're our best healer," Caden said, his voice businesslike, as if they hadn't grown up together, as if she hadn't secretly loved him for years. I want you to prepare the ceremonial herbs for the mating ritual. It's an honor. An honor. He wanted her to prepare the herbs that would bind him to another woman, to help cement a bond that would make it impossible for him to ever feel their true connection. Arya. Caden prompted when she didn't respond. She finally looked up at him, and for just a moment, she let him see everything. The pain, the betrayal, the bond that burned between them, even if he couldn't feel it. His eyes widened slightly, confusion crossing his face. Then Elena stepped forward, her expression cold. Is there a problem, Omega? The Alpha gave you an order. The word stung. Omega. A reminder of her place, her rank, her worthlessness in their eyes. No problem, Arya heard herself say. Her voice sounded hollow, distant. I'll prepare the herbs, Alpha. She turned and walked away, her spine straight, refusing to run even though every instinct screamed at her to flee. Behind her, the celebration continued, but all she could feel was the mate bond writhing in her chest like a dying thing. The breaking point. Arya made it back to her cottage before the tears came. They poured down her face in silent streams as she sank to the floor. The bond burned hotter now, responding to her pain, trying to reach out to Caden even as he celebrated with another woman. She'd heard stories of rejected mates. Most died from the pain when the bond was severed. Others lived but never recovered, their wolves broken, their hearts empty shells. A few rare ones survived by rejecting the bond themselves, cutting it away before it could destroy them. Arya didn't want to die, but she couldn't stay here and watch Caden mate with Elena. She couldn't prepare herbs for their ceremony, couldn't smile and pretend her heart wasn't shattering. That night, she made her decision. The next morning, Arya packed a small bag with essentials. Herbs, healing supplies, a change of clothes, and the silver pendant her mother had given her before dying. It was all she had left of her family. Both parents lost to a rogue attack when she was 12. She wrote a single letter and left it on her bed. I'm sorry. I can't do what you asked. I release you, Alpha Caden, from any claim I might have had on you. May you find happiness with your chosen mate. Then, before the sun fully rose, Arya walked out of the Nightshade Pact territory. Each step away from Caden made the bond stretch and strain, pain lancing through her chest. But she kept walking, kept moving forward, because staying would kill her just as surely as the rejection. She didn't see Marcus watching from the tree line, didn't see the regret on the beta's face as he let her go without raising an alarm. He knew what she was running from, even if Caden was too blind to see it. Into the unknown. Arya walked for 3 days, following old forest paths, avoiding other pack territories, and surviving on berries and stream water. The bond grew weaker with distance, but it also grew more painful, like a wound that couldn't quite close. She knew what she had to do, but she couldn't bring herself to speak the words yet. On the 4th day, weak from hunger and exhaustion, Arya collapsed in a clearing. The world spun around her, and she thought this might be the end. Maybe rejection killed you slowly after all, bleeding you out bit by bit until there was nothing left. But as her consciousness faded, she felt something else stir inside her. A warmth that wasn't the mate bond, a power that thrummed in her blood like an ancient song. Her silver pendant began to glow, brighter and brighter, until it lit up the entire clearing. She didn't see the figures that emerged from the trees, drawn by the light. She didn't hear their excited whispers or feel gentle hands lifting her from the ground. She only felt the warmth growing stronger, wrapping around her like a protective cocoon, the silver blood awakening. When Arya opened her eyes, she was lying in a comfortable bed in a room she didn't recognize. Soft morning light filtered through windows hung with silver curtains. The air smelled of herbs and something else, something old and powerful that made her skin tingle. "You're awake," a kind voice said. An elderly woman sat in a chair beside the bed, her long silver hair braided with threads of gold. Her eyes were the color of moonlight. "How do you feel, child?" "Where am I?" Arya croaked, her throat dry. "The Moonfire clan territory," the woman replied, offering her a cup of water. "We found you in the woods 3 days ago. Your pendant was glowing like a beacon." Tell me, child, where did you get that necklace? Arya's hand instinctively went to the pendant. It was my mother's. She said it had been passed down through our family for generations, but she never told me why. The old woman's eyes widened. What was your mother's name?
Sera Moonwhisper.
The woman gasped, pressing her hand to her heart. I knew your mother. She was my niece. Which makes you. She stood abruptly, staring at Arya with wonder and disbelief. Your silver blood. One of the last of our kind. I don't understand, Arya said, struggling to sit up. What's silver blood? An ancient bloodline. The woman explained, her voice trembling with emotion. We are healers, yes, but we're also so much more. Our blood carries the power of the first wolves, the ones blessed directly by the moon goddess. We can do things other wolves only dream of. Your mother must have hidden your heritage to protect you. Arya's mind reeled. But I'm just an omega. I can barely shift, and my wolf is weak. Because you've been suppressing your true nature. The woman interrupted gently. The mate bond you've been carrying, it's been draining your power, channeling it toward someone who can't even feel it. Now that you're away from him, now that the bond is weakening, your true self is beginning to emerge. The woman sat back down, taking Arya's hand. My name is Elder Lyra. I am the leader of the Moonfire clan, and I am your great aunt. You are home now, child. And if you're willing, I can teach you what you truly are, help you become the powerful wolf the goddess intended. Arya felt tears sliding down her cheeks again, but these were different. Not tears of heartbreak, but of hope. He chose someone else, she whispered. My mate. He didn't even feel the bond. Then he's a fool, Lyra said firmly, and his loss will be your gain. Stay with us, Arya. Let us show you who you really are. Let us help you become so powerful that he'll spend the rest of his life regretting what he threw away. For the first time since the rejection, Arya felt something other than pain. She felt possibility. She felt potential. She felt the stirring of something that might, one day, become vengeance. Teach me, Arya said, her voice stronger now. Teach me everything. The final break. That night, under the full moon, Arya stood in the center of a silver circle with Elder Lyra and the other Moonfire wolves surrounding her. It was time to sever the mate bond completely, to cut away the connection that had been slowly killing her. Are you ready? Lyra asked softly. Arya closed her eyes, feeling the bond one last time. Even weakened by distance, it still pulled toward Caden, still yearned for him. But he'd made his choice, and now she would make hers. I, Arya Moonwhisper, reject the mate bond forced upon me by the moon goddess. She spoke the ancient words Lyra had taught her. I release Alpha Caden from any claim. I choose my own path. I claim my own power. I break this bond by my own will. The words hung in the air for a moment. Then pain exploded in her chest, worse than anything she'd felt before. Arya screamed, falling to her knees as the bond tore away, leaving a gaping wound in her soul. The Moonfire wolves began to chant, their voices rising in an ancient song that helped ease the pain. And then suddenly it was gone. The bond, the pull, the constant ache. All of it vanished like it had never existed. In its place, power flooded through her veins. Her silver pendant blazed with light, and her wolf, silent and weak for so long, surged forward with strength Arya had never imagined possible. Her eyes snapped open, and she knew they were glowing silver, the mark of her bloodline. Around her, the Moonfire wolves bowed their heads in respect. Welcome to your true self, Lyra said with a smile. Welcome home, Arya Moonwhisper of the Silver Blood line. Far away, in the Nightshade Pack, Alpha Caden gasped and clutched his chest as something tore away from him. Something he hadn't even known was there. Elena rushed to his side, but he pushed her away, stumbling to the window, staring out at the full moon with a sudden, terrible understanding of what he'd just lost. But it was too late. The bond was broken, and Arya was finally free. The transformation. 5 years of growth. 5 years had passed since Arya Moonwhisper severed the mate bond and embraced her silver blood heritage. The weak, heartbroken Omega who had fled the Nightshade pack no longer existed. In her place stood a warrior, a healer, and a force of nature that even the strongest alphas respected. The morning sun filtered through the trees as Arya sparred with Theron, the Moonfire clan's head warrior and Elder Lyra's grandson. His sword clashed against hers, the ring of metal echoing through the training grounds. Other clan members stopped to watch, as they always did when these two trained together. "You're getting slow, old man," Arya teased, deflecting his strike and spinning away gracefully. Theron laughed, his dark eyes gleaming with amusement. At 32, he was far from old, with bronze skin, black hair tied back in a warrior's knot, and a scar across his left cheek that somehow made him more handsome. "Old? I'll show you old." He moved faster than human eyes could follow, but Arya matched him. Her silver blood gave her speed, strength, and reflexes that surpassed normal wolves. She ducked under his swing, swept his legs, and had her blade at his throat before he hit the ground. "Dead again," she said with a grin, offering her hand to help him up. Theron took it, pulling himself to his feet. "You've surpassed me, Silver Blood, just as grandmother predicted you would." The nickname still made Arya's heart warm. Silver Blood. Not Omega. Not weak. Not broken. She was something ancient and powerful, and she'd spent 5 years learning exactly what that meant. The healer's evolution. In the healing temple, Arya worked alongside Elder Lyra, treating a warrior who'd been injured in a border patrol. But this was nothing like the simple healing she'd done in Nightshade. Her hands glowed with pure silver light now, not just gold, and she could sense every injury, every illness, every weakness in a wolf's body without even touching them. "The bone has been fractured for weeks," Arya said. Her eyes closed as she assessed the warrior. "You tried to hide it, didn't you?" The warrior looked sheepish. "I didn't want to seem weak." "Pride will get you killed," Arya said, but her tone was kind. She placed her hands over his leg, and silver light poured from her palms. The bone knitted together perfectly, stronger than before. "There. But you'll rest for 2 days, no arguments." "Yes, healer," the warrior said gratefully, bowing his head as he left. Lyra watched from her chair, pride evident on her aged face. "You've mastered skills that took me decades to learn. Your mother would be so proud." Arya's chest tightened at the mention of her mother. Over the years, Lyra had told her everything about Sarah Moonwhisper, how she'd fallen in love with Arya's father, a Nightshade warrior, and left the Moonfire clan to be with him, how she'd hidden Arya's heritage to protect her from those who might exploit a Silver Blood's power. "I wish I could have known her better," Arya said softly. "I wish she'd told me the truth." "She did what she thought was right," Lyra replied. "And perhaps it was. If you'd known your power earlier, you might have been taken advantage of, used as a tool rather than growing into your strength naturally." Arya nodded, understanding the wisdom in those words. Her years in Nightshade, painful as they were, had taught her humility, compassion, and the value of those society deemed weak. She would never forget those lessons. Shadows of the past. That evening, Arya sat on the balcony of her cottage, overlooking the Moonfire territory. It was beautiful here, with silver birch trees that glowed in the moonlight and a crystal-clear lake that reflected the stars. She'd found peace here, purpose, and even happiness. But sometimes, in quiet moments like this, her thoughts drifted back to Nightshade, to the pack she'd left behind, and despite everything, to Caden. She wondered if he was happy with Elena, if they had pups by now, if he ever thought about the Omega healer who'd disappeared the day before his mating ceremony. Probably not. She'd been forgettable, invisible, nothing worth remembering. "You're thinking about him again." Theron's voice came from behind her. He stepped onto the balcony, carrying 2 cups of tea. "I can always tell." Arya accepted the tea with a grateful smile. Over the years, Theron had become her closest friend, her training partner, and her confidant. He knew everything about her past, about Caden and the rejection, and he'd never judged her for the pain that sometimes resurfaced. "I don't miss him," Arya said truthfully. "I just wonder if he ever felt it. The bond breaking. If he ever realized what we could have been." "He didn't deserve you," Theron said firmly, sitting beside her. "Not then, and certainly not now. You've become extraordinary, Arya. You're the most powerful silver blood in 3 generations, a master healer, and a warrior who could challenge most alphas." He had a treasure and treated it like trash. Arya looked at him, really looked at him. Theron had been patient with her, never pushing, never demanding more than friendship, even though she sometimes caught him watching her with something deeper in his eyes. He was kind, strong, honorable, everything Caden had failed to be. "Why did you never take a mate?" she asked suddenly. Theron was quiet for a long moment. "Because the woman I want doesn't see me that way, and I'd rather have her friendship than risk losing her by asking for more." Arya's heart skipped. She knew. Of course she knew. But she'd been too broken, too focused on healing and growing stronger to consider opening her heart again. Was she ready now? Before she could respond, a messenger burst onto the balcony, breathing hard. "Healer Arya, Elder Lyra requests your presence immediately. There's news from Nightshade Pack. The plague." In Elder Lyra's council chamber, Arya found the elder looking grave, a letter in her hands. "What's happened?" "A plague has struck the Nightshade Pack," Lyra said, handing her the letter. "It started 2 weeks ago. Their healers can't cure it, and wolves are dying. Alpha Caden has sent word to every clan, begging for help. He's offering significant territory and alliance to anyone who can stop the deaths." Arya's hands trembled as she read the letter. The symptoms described were horrific: high fever, internal bleeding, rapid deterioration. Wolves were dying within days of infection, and it was spreading fast. Children had died. Elders. Warriors. The pack was being decimated. "How many dead?" she whispered. 47 so far," Lyra replied, "and more falling ill every day." Arya closed her eyes, seeing faces from her past. The warriors she'd healed. The children she'd taught herbs to. The few pack members who'd shown her kindness despite her Omega status. They were dying, and she had the power to save them. But going back meant facing Caden.
Facing Elena.
Facing everything she'd run from 5 years ago. "You don't have to go," Lyra said gently, reading her expression. "You owe them nothing, Arya. They cast you out. They rejected you. Let them face the consequences of their cruelty." "But the innocent ones," Arya said, her healer's heart warring with her wounded pride. "The children who never hurt me. The elders who showed me kindness. Derek, who always thanked me for healing him. They don't deserve to die because their alpha was a fool." Theron entered the chamber, having followed the messenger. "If you're thinking of going, I'm coming with you. It could be dangerous," Arya warned. "If this plague is what I think it is, it's not natural. Someone created it. All the more reason for you to have backup," Theron said firmly. "Besides, Grandmother would never forgive me if I let you walk into danger alone." Lyra smiled despite the grave situation. "He's right. If you decide to do this, Arya, you won't go alone. Take Theron and a squad of our best warriors. Show Nightshade Pack what the Moonfire clan is capable of. Show them what they lost when they cast you out." Arya stood, decision made. "Prepare the supplies. We leave at dawn. But I need something clear. I'm not doing this for Caden. I'm not doing this for recognition or gratitude. I'm doing this because saving lives is what I was meant to do. And I won't let innocent wolves die because of pride. Even if they don't deserve your mercy," Lyra said softly, "you do deserve to be the person who shows it. That's what makes you stronger than any alpha child. Your power isn't just in your blood. It's in your heart." The journey home, the journey to Nightshade territory took 3 days. Arya rode at the head of a group of 12 Moonfire warriors, all wearing the silver and blue colors of their clan. Theron rode beside her, his presence a steady comfort. As they crossed into familiar territory, Arya felt the memories rising. The trees she'd climbed as a child, the stream where she'd collected healing herbs, the border where guards had escorted her out with threats and contempt. "Are you all right?" Theron asked quietly. "I will be," Arya replied. "I'm not the same person who left here. They can't hurt me anymore." But as the pack house came into view, her heart still clenched. The last time she'd been here, she'd been preparing to leave forever, heartbroken and alone. Now she returned powerful, respected, and accompanied by elite warriors who looked to her as a leader. The Nightshade guards at the gate stared in shock at their approach. One of them, a younger wolf, didn't recognize her. But the older guard, Marcus's brother Daniel, did. His eyes went wide. "Arya," he breathed. "Is that—" "It can't be." "Open the gates," Arya said, her voice carrying the authority she'd learned over 5 years. "We've come in response to Alpha Caden's request for healing aid." The gates opened slowly, and Arya rode through, her head held high. Pack members emerged from their homes, staring at the procession. Whispers rippled through the crowd. "Is that the Omega who ran away? Can't be. Look at her. She's radiating power. Those are Moonfire warriors. Since when does an Omega command warriors?" The confrontation. Alpha Caden emerged from the pack house, and Arya's breath caught despite herself. He looked terrible. His face was haggard, his eyes sunken with exhaustion and grief. He'd aged more than 5 years should account for. The burden of losing so many pack members had clearly taken its toll. But it was the moment his eyes locked on hers that made time stop. Recognition flashed across his face, followed by shock, then something that looked almost like pain. "Arya," he said, his voice rough. "You came." "I came for the sick," Arya replied coolly, dismounting. "Not for you." If her words struck him, he didn't show it. "Whatever your reasons, I'm grateful. We're desperate. Our healers can't figure out what this is or how to stop it. 47 dead and counting." "Show me the patients," Arya commanded, "and I'll need a full report on symptoms, progression, and any commonalities between the infected." Caden nodded, moving to lead the way, but froze when Elena appeared at his side. The she-wolf looked as stunning as ever, her red hair gleaming, but her amber eyes narrowed with immediate suspicion and dislike. "Why is she here?" Elena demanded, looking Arya up and down with contempt. "We asked for a real healer, not some Omega who ran away because she couldn't handle pack life." The Moonfire warriors tensed, hands moving toward weapons, but Arya raised a hand to stop them. She stepped closer to Elena, her silver eyes meeting amber without fear. "I am Arya Moonwhisper, Silver Blood of the Moonfire clan, Master Healer and Warrior," Arya said softly, but her voice carried to every wolf present. "I've come to save your pack because innocent lives are at stake. Whether you accept my help or not is irrelevant. I answer to a higher calling than your petty insults."
Elena's facere de ned.
"How dare you?" "Luna," Caden interrupted, his voice sharp. "Enough. We need her help." The use of Elena's title felt like a slap, a reminder that she'd taken the place that should have been Arya's. But Arya simply smiled, cold and controlled. "Take me to the sick," she repeated. "Or watch more of your pack die while you waste time posturing." The diagnosis. In the healing ward, Arya's worst fears were confirmed. The moment she entered, she could sense it. The dark, unnatural energy clinging to every sick wolf. This was no ordinary plague. This was blood magic created deliberately to target wolves. She examined patient after patient, her hands glowing silver as she assessed the damage. The plague attacked the immune system first, then spread to the organs, causing them to shut down one by one. It was designed to be painful, slow, and fatal. "Who did you anger?" Arya asked Caden, who'd insisted on staying nearby. "This plague was created. Someone is targeting your pack specifically." Caden's face went pale. "Created? You're certain?" "Absolutely. I can feel the blood magic woven into it. Whoever made this is powerful and has a personal vendetta against Nightshade." Arya studied the pattern of infection. "When did this start?" And did anything unusual happen before the first case? Caden thought hard. It started 2 weeks ago. The first victim was a warrior who'd been on patrol near the eastern border. Before that, there was a territorial dispute with a rogue pack. We drove them off, but their leader swore revenge. Not rogues, Arya said slowly, pieces clicking together. This level of blood magic requires training, resources, and time. Think harder, Alpha. Who have you wronged in the past 6 months? Who might want to see your pack destroyed? Caden opened his mouth to answer, but Elena's voice cut in from the doorway. How dare you imply this is Caden's fault? Our pack is strong and honorable. We have no enemies capable of this. Arya turned to look at Elena, really look at her, and felt a chill run down her spine. There was something off about the Luna's energy, something dark lurking beneath the surface. She activated her silver blood sight, the ability to see beyond the physical, and gasped. Dark magic clung to Elena like oil, invisible to normal wolves but blazing like a beacon to Arya's enhanced senses. Caden, Arya said quietly, not taking her eyes off Elena. Where was Elena the day before the plague started? I was here, Elena said quickly. I'm always here, serving my pack. Liar, Arya said, her voice cutting like a blade. I can see the blood magic on you, Elena. You reek of it. You created this plague. The truth revealed. The room exploded into chaos. Caden turned to Elena in shock. What is she talking about? She's lying.
Elena shrieked.
She's always been jealous of me. She ran away because you chose me over her. And now she's back to cause trouble. I can prove it, Arya said calmly. She moved closer to Elena, her hands beginning to glow. Silver blood can purge dark magic, which means I can force it out of you. Shall we see what secrets you're hiding, Luna? Elena backed away, fear flashing across her face. Caden, stop her. She's dangerous. But Caden was staring at his mate with dawning horror. Elena, if you're innocent, let her check. Prove that Arya is wrong. No. Elena's composure cracked completely. Her eyes shifted, showing red instead of amber, the sign of a dark magic user. You don't understand. I did this for us, to make us stronger. You killed 47 pack members, Caden said, his voice shaking with rage and disbelief. You murdered children. Weak ones.
Elena spat.
We needed to purge the weak, make room for strong offspring. I was going to discover the cure and be celebrated as a hero. The pack would have loved me for saving them from a mysterious plague. Theron moved to Arya's side, his hand on his sword. She planned the whole thing. Create the disease, let it kill the vulnerable, then miraculously cure it to gain status and power. But she didn't count on Caden calling for outside help, Arya finished. She assumed your healers wouldn't figure it out in time. Elena's face twisted with hatred. This is your fault, she snarled at Arya. If you just died out there in the woods where you belonged, none of this would have happened. Caden would have forgotten about you completely. Forgotten about her? Caden repeated, his voice dangerous. What are you talking about? The mate bond, you idiot.
Elena screamed.
She was your fated mate, and you were too blind to feel it. But I knew. I could sense it on her the moment she turned 21. So I used a dampening spell on you, blocked your ability to feel the bond, made sure you choose me instead. And it worked perfectly until she ran away and broke the bond herself. The silence that followed was deafening. Caden stared at Elena like he'd never seen her before, then slowly turned to Arya. You were my mate? Arya met his gaze steadily, her expression unreadable. I was. 5 years ago. But I severed the bond the night of your mating ceremony. You felt it break. I know you did. Caden's hand went to his chest, to the place where he'd felt that terrible tearing sensation 5 years ago. The pain he'd tried to dismiss, to forget, suddenly made horrible sense. I didn't know, he whispered. Elena blocked it. She made me think I hadn't found my mate yet, and I chose her because I manipulated you, Elena finished viciously. Because I wanted to be Luna, and some weak little Omega wasn't going to take that from me. I did everything right. I was perfect for you, perfect for this pack. You're a murderer, Arya said coldly, and you're going to pay for what you've done. Elena laughed, a wild, unhinged sound. You can't touch me.
Im Luna.
The pack won't believe a word against me. They'll believe the evidence, Arya replied. She turned to the Nightshade pack members who'd gathered, drawn by the commotion. She used blood magic to create the plague. I can prove it. Purge the dark magic from her and cure every infected wolf. But the choice is yours. Keep protecting the woman who murdered your children, or accept justice. The pack's answer came in growls and shifted stances. Elena had lost them. Her carefully built image had shattered in minutes. Guards, Caden said, his voice dead. Arrest former Luna Elena. She'll be tried for murder under pack law. As guards moved forward, Elena's eyes blazed red. You'll regret this. She raised her hands, dark magic swirling around her fingers. If I can't be Luna, I'll destroy everything. But before she could release her attack, Arya moved. Silver light exploded from her hands, wrapping around Elena like chains, neutralizing the dark magic instantly. Elena collapsed, screaming, as the blood magic was ripped from her body. It's over, Arya said quietly. You've lost.